goes in the same spot tonight?
Yeah, it is.
You guys get anything on those mailboxes last week?
Yeah, so that dude hit, I think it was a 17-year-old kid.
Yeah, I was gonna say, cause I heard rumors that it's going through the high school, if they all talked.
Yeah,
So,
so he spilled his guts to his buddies, and
that's what I
they
figured.
went to McWanago PD,
Yeah.
and McWanago PD called us. I was off last week, I didn't know nothing about it, so I come in Monday, and everyone's talking about these mailboxes getting smoked all over the place.
Yeah.
It ended up being like four different police departments had to deal with it, because they just went, that kid went
We
everywhere.
had
and just
signs
took off.
down, street signs on Guthrie and Town Line, stop sign on Guthrie. One other one we had down also. Some of them were county, some of them were ours, you know, but, so I think there was all the same night, I'm thinking.
Well, there was another hit and run too. There was a Nissan.
Just, yeah, I know what you're.
3 other mailboxes on third shift.
Testing, mic check.
Yeah, it happened right after that kid had taken. That's all he did all weekend, was just run over
That's what it
mailboxes.
sounded like, yeah.
And when they found him and found the car, it was like an '87 Blazer or something like that. The front end was completely mushed in. So was the underbody.
Whoa. Look at you, look at you. See, you got it. I can hear he's live.
So we'll call on you for a minute.
Chuck?
I don't really have
Good.
anything.
Nothing to say, so I shouldn't call.
I don't know. Do you guys have anything for us?
No, I'll just say goodnight.
Getting the solicitor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we get a lot of calls.
Well, we got the hit and run kid too. He just won't admit to it.
Are they gonna be able to nail it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's already lawyered up. His dad had him lawyer up, so.
How does that my nephew?
I don't know. No, it's a kid, I think, it's a kid in McWanago who just started spilling his guts to all of his buddies in high school. So, now he just won't talk to any agency, even though he's been set up for, I think, 3 different interviews, and he won't attend any of them, so they're really gonna nail him, because at least 2 of the mailboxes were $1,000 a piece, because they were HOAs, and it was a real big deal, so he's gonna get some felonies on his record.
Did he use his car or
Yeah.
use his car?
Oh, yeah,
So that's-
yeah, he hit 30 or 40 mailboxes that night and destroyed his car. That's all he did all night, was just drive around hitting mailboxes.
Ready? Good evening. Welcome to the Village of Vernon. It's the Village Board meeting. Today is Thursday, June 3, 2021. We will call the Village Board meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance and a standing moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Roll call and open meeting law compliance check.
President Carl Fortner.
Present.
Trustee Jim Sloney. Trustee Dan DeGrave. Trustee Marie Kumarshek. Trustee Lorene Dashik.
Present.
Mr. President, note for the record that you do have a quorum of your village board. Also note for the record that John Henneberry, DPW Director, is here, and Terry Winarski, Village Treasurer, is here. Also note for the record that the fine representative from the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department are in attendance also. The agenda was posted inside and outside the Vernon Town Hall to the media, to other entities within the Village of Vernon. You're in full compliance with the open meetings law.
Thank you. Next up, I need to announce the possible closed session, consideration and possible action on a motion to convene into executive session under Wisconsin statutes 19.85(1)(e), deliberating of negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting otherwise other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, more specifically negotiations regarding the North Prairie Municipal Court Agreement and ordinance and Wisconsin statutes 19.85 1G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. More specifically, the Kruger appeal included in closed session will be the Vernon Village Board, the Vernon Village Clerk Administrator, and the Village Attorney by telephone. Motion will require a roll call vote. Number 5, public comments. We have no members of the public present, physically present anyway. Number 6, we do have, the Waukesha County Sheriff has announced Deputy Hollingsworth is here, and I forget your trustee or your trainee's name, but Belfiore, okay. And we were speaking a little bit before the meeting. You don't really have a report, although we are happy that you did track down a unlicensed peddler solicitor and ticket him for, I think it was trespassing, you said, and also the Village of Vernon sheriff's car, deputy car, has arrived, and it's in our parking lot right now. Questions for the sheriff, or sheriff, do you have any, or sheriff's department, do you have any, deputy, have any other things to report?
Does anybody have any permits been issued for any door-to-door sales?
There have been none issued, Deputy Hollingsworth, and if they are issued, they're on the front page of our website, and all solicitors have to have photo, Village of Vernon photo ID on them when they go to each household.
Questions? Otherwise, thank you for stopping by. Out to patrol.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Nice report, thank you.
Okay, now we are on to Citizens Bank Access, Village Board and Deputy Clerks. We did talk about this in staff, and we are putting it on an agenda for possible action to this evening. So thoughts from our staff, who should be on, and we did talk about it at length. And our treasurer is here, Terry Winarski, maybe you should give us your thoughts on who should be on this account.
Does everyone have a copy of the information I put together in your packet? Otherwise, I printed some extras off in regards to online access.
I don't think they have printed here, it's on their e-packets, it's in your e-packets online, but printed,
Oh, okay, I missed the printed. No, I didn't get it.
What this comes down to is that Jonathan can easily set up anyone to have view-only access rights, and he can even limit the time of the day and the day of the week for viewing, if that would be needed. So the items that were previously discussed are listed here. And if we decide to have backup, we can get that done. It'll just take Jonathan a day or two to get it set up. So for example, if Lynn and Kay need to be set up as backups to Sue and Linda, that can occur rather quickly.
Jonathan said that yours was never accessed and neither was Carl's.
Right.
So they don't. Yeah, that's all gone. They changed, as everybody knows, Citizens Banks did a huge upgrade in their security, so Jonathan can do whatever you want, but he just needs to know, and then whatever the board does decide to do, Mr. President, you'd probably do it by resolution, so we'd have something formal, correct, sir?
Right, that's what I would do. If the bank's got a form of authorization they need to, or a resolution they would like to see, we could do it that way, or create our own resolution. I think should be done by resolution.
Both.
Yeah.
Just so we have something in writing for future boards.
Right. Right, and I usually personally don't need it. The only reason I would use it, I'm thinking it would be in the event of some sort of an emergency type of thing. Otherwise, I'm not in micromanaging anything, really.
Well, Dan, you're going to access it, right?
Yes, I would like to have view.
View only,
access.
right.
Being a financial guy, I sometimes like to drill down, so.
I will do it too for a while, for about a year. Maybe somebody else will take over after that. I just want to see how the LifeQuest deposits look and how that gets moved around.
Carl, do you want access?
Sure, yes.
Terry, I would assume this is for all accounts?
Yes.
All
Yes.
bank accounts? Okay, thank you.
All accounts at Citizens, anyway.
Right, correct.
Right.
And if we use our village computer, you don't need anything else for our personal computers, correct?
Yeah, if you're logging in on your village, they'll need your village IP address
Okay.
on your computer.
Okay, the IP address on your
Right.
computer.
You don't
not-
want to log in on your home.
Right.
And Ron Radke will handle that portion for security reasons, just so it's not public. And we do not have to have fallback. Remember, the board spoke about having one deputy be fluent and then a backup, but we'd only set up one backup deputy for payroll with the other one, unless you want two set up right
Right.
away. Whatever you guys want, just need to know.
And that would be Linda is what you would,
Yeah, she'd be the primary and then Sue Fisher would be secondary, if you want. The other two, there's no reason for. And then what it also do is supply to the president an actual breakdown. If in the event something happened, at least Carl could also do payroll. I mean, just the, not the actual payroll, do the transaction from. Wow, I got a big raise.
I think we should check Carl's bank account after he does payroll.
not enough money in there. So, we're looking for what? Direction to maybe direct the clerk administrator and the treasurer to.
Work together?
To work together to give the village president trustee number 2, Mr. DeGrave, and trustee number 4, Ms. Dashik, view only access to the Citizen Bank accounts. And, well, we could just do that motion, and then we could do a motion for deputy clerks.
Whatever you
We'll
want.
make it easier. So I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now it's deputy clerks. Yeah, I think we need to have someone available that knows, that can do this payroll, just in case. And our clerk administrators recommended Linda be the lead or the primary person, so I would think that person for sure
Right.
would be, what are we going to call that, to have the ability to process payroll files?
It would be, we'd be specific that they're only
Only.
making the ACS transaction to Citizens Bank. That's the only thing they can do.
So we'd be looking to give you direction to, and Terry, our treasurer, direction to make that happen.
Right.
And it would only be an ACH for payroll.
right? When we draft the resolution to be specific only to that function.
Okay, now do we need a backup to the backup? Sue?
I think you should, just in case. And then also, there would be a complete detail to the village president in the event, God forbid, something would happen, that you'd need, the securities for all those accounts. Is that okay with the board? They're all shaking their head, Carol.
Yeah, all shaking their head, yes.
And whomever processes the ACH, all of the people who have access rights get an email notification that this has occurred.
So that's good. And so you will get that email too?
I get that now.
Right. So we'll make a motion to direct the clerk treasurer and treasurer to set up Linda and Sue. Linda as the primary and Sue Fisher as the backup, right?
Yep,
Linda Klinger, I guess it is, I should say,
yes.
her full name. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Should we, since the treasurer is here, should we, well, I'm not going to jump to maybe, we could jump to accounts payable and the stale check issue. You'll see in the accounts payable, maybe Terry, since you're here, you can explain our thinking and what Howard, I guess, is saying about those stale checks. And what I noticed when I looked at the APs was they weren't that stale. I mean, some of them were barely at 6 months.
We can leave them on. We just had a member of the board said some are old, and there's the tax ones we can't send to the county till the end of this year for the 2019. Those have to stay on our books. But we could leave them. We just wanted to try to address a concern of older checks. And Terry, I'll let you jump in. I'm sorry.
Sure. Yeah, there are some older checks from 2020. They're very small, and attempts to contact each individual hasn't gotten anywhere to this point. We've spoken to, Karen and I have spoken to Jonathan at Citizens Bank, or Quentin at Citizens Bank, as to the process of placing a stop payment on any of these old checks if necessary. And Citizens Bank can accommodate us by just charging us one fee for the whole group. And then we can process the reissued checks.
How many checks are stale? I suppose I could count.
Of approximately 15 that are beyond 6 months old.
What,
They don't answer phone calls. They don't answer letters. There's no response from these people.
Terry, what's the fee?
$35.
For all
Stop
of them.
payment on 15
15
checks.
So you can't get an affidavit that they say they lost it or they never received it. So we're not reissuing these checks.
That's what's in the packet, is the checks are being reissued, but the bank would have a ledger that they would watch for those 15 checks if they would never allow the old checks to be cashed.
Why would we bother reissuing it if they haven't even
If they
cashed their
haven't
first check?
responded,
That's the only way I could think of getting it off the books is reissuing the check, putting some big, bold, please cash this check on the outside of the envelope so they know it's not just garbage mail.
Why can't we just not?
We can't keep the money.
Well, then give it to me.
You can't, that's really illegal.
It just seems,
We can leave them on the books. It doesn't bother us a bit.
so have these people moved?
The letters aren't returned.
And there is,
And you can't find a phone number anyway to contact them? No.
Some, but there's no response back.
Right,
And
some of
there's-
them are property taxpayers, so you have a good address on their property tax bill. One is I think she's still with the fire department. I'm wondering about
Yes.
her.
Yep.
I won't say her name, but,
Notorious for not cashing her checks.
right. for whatever reason. Culvert bonds, I don't, it's going to contractors and so on.
One of the culvert bonds we did, that's not that old, that Krebs, they're sending an affidavit, so we will get an affidavit on the Krebs one. So that one,
So if it's the one I saw, you didn't have a copy of the check. I saw
Yeah.
my stamp, my name
you
on
did
there that I
not,
took in
we
the
went
check.
back to all your, remember when you said you make copies? You did not do that. That started when I came on board. We looked in all the old e-packets of occupancy bonds.
Yes.
There were no checks.
I did. I put the check on the screen and I scanned it and stapled
Yeah.
the occupancy bond with the check. I did it for everyone. All the covered bonds and
I had a couple of my deputies look back and they have the information where you wrote the check number. But I know the only reason we started copying it is we could not read the writing on the, so just to make sure, we put a copy of the front of the check on the occupancy.
Could it be that the copies that were made were lost or destroyed or?
not saved. It could be. I know I did it.
No, we went back in old packets, old e-packets from when you were the treasurer and occupancy bond. There was no copy of the checks on the occupancy bond that the boards approved in 13 and.
Well, the thing is, until they're returned, you wouldn't find them in the e-packets.
Well, like in the e-packets now, we like to put the occupancy bond with that check, that whoever wrote it, so the board can see this was the person that wrote it, because we've had that happen. Issued an occupancy bond to that's why we copy the checks. We issued it to what was on the writing, and that wasn't the person it was supposed to go to.
And in one instance, it's the same family who hasn't cashed a refund check for 2 consecutive years. And they're very small checks.
Yeah.
So they could just be tossed to the side and forgotten.
So I have a couple questions. I think this is a great idea, just to get it off of our books and to move forward. The question is whether or not February 18th is still considered a stale check, because that's less than, it's about 90 days, but that's it. Are we sending out any letter or something saying that we're reissuing the check?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a letter going out with the checks saying
And
that-
saying, the letter is going to say, we've mailed, we've attempted to call, we've tried to call you numerous times. The outside of that envelope is going to have big stickers that check enclosed, please cash immediately. Okay. And the only reason that we're gonna do, if this doesn't work, I would think that Terry would, after, we can show the state, we can send it up to the state, the county, to see how many attempts we made to try to reimburse the person.
then you might as well get it off our books. I agree.
I'm not sure how this gets it off our books, though.
That's what I was
Well,
gonna
from the
say.
standpoint that if they don't cash a check and you send it to the state, it's off our books.
Well, that way. But
Right.
But
But we can't even do that, right? For most of them now.
It has to go to the county. Nothing can go to the state, yeah.
right, send it to the county.
So Terry, did you send an affidavit and a letter to all these?
No, we've sent letters and Terry, we've done this way before Terry was here.
Okay,
Yeah, and nothing.
no response.
If they don't want to cash the check,
Well, then it does, it sits on the books, and then you send them a check, and if they don't wanna cash that one, then what?
If you did it twice, how much more can you do?
Well, then it sits on the books again.
Well, then it can sit on the county's books.
do our checks say void after 90 days or anything like that? Oh, okay, good. So then we're covered. I'm also thinking that you're going to void all these checks in the system. That means it goes back into the account where it came from and then reissued, so there's no budget impact.
Right, that is correct.
All right.
But we wouldn't,
Those were
we
my
wouldn't,
questions.
yeah, we wouldn't do that until, if the board, we weren't really sure what the board was gonna do with this. So we thought we'd issue them once more, try to get them out, put that big flash check inside, please. And then if that doesn't work, then do some type of formal resolution that you send it up to the county and then the county can deal with it.
I like this idea, so you got my vote.
It's perhaps the county can process a credit to a future tax bill for this overpayment from the past.
I know the county works with the state, but the county likes to hold the money. The county said, don't you ever send it up to the state. You send it to us. So Pam Reeves called and said, and taxes are always held that way, but all the other checks also.
So then in the paper, once a year, you have that unclaimed,
That you called me on, remember when I got $4.19? Unclaimed money, yeah, that's where it appears. And the board doesn't have to do this. This was just an attempt to say, we've tried a couple times to clean these up, and
I commend you for being proactive and doing this. And I think this is a great idea. Let's try this. So that's my opinion.
And I do have to do a commercial for Citizens Bank. I think that's really nice that there's this many checks and they're just doing a one-time $35 fee. I'd like to thank Citizens Bank. I think that's very generous of them. Sorry, Carl.
That is a cheap rate. Well, we'll get to the accounts payable. I just thought, since Terry, you were here, and,
Do we need a
We'll get
motion
you.
on this?
well, we'll get to it for accounts payable. I raised it because Terry's here,
Okay.
and, Terry doesn't have to sit through the rest of the meeting, but,
But he does have a report, Mr. President.
yeah, he does have a report, and we can get to that, too. If people don't mind deviating from the agenda, so Terry doesn't have to sit here, and then we'll get to John right away, too. So any further do we have enough information to decide, board members, information to decide, Dan, you've decided, but, on the stale check issue, because we're gonna be, in the payables, you're gonna be asked to approve this, issuing the stale checks. And so that'll be the decision point. You have enough information from Terry?
Well, we used to have to get an affidavit signed that they either lost it or couldn't find it.
They're by the stop payment orders. Yeah, otherwise, you'd have 2 checks out there.
We never had this issue in the past. It's just like crazy that there's so many people that aren't responding.
The usual procedure for a stop payment and reissue is having affidavit signed, but that's if the check is lost within the last 6 months. So we don't have to wait for it to be stale.
Right.
The fact that Citizens Bank is going to flag these checks. So even if it does appear, to me, it's even better than affidavit. If the bank knows these checks will never be cashed, what better assurance can you have than somebody that signs it? Because we've had people sign affidavits and cash the check before. That's happened twice since I've been here. So affidavits are about as good as people's memories.
That's true. Even one of our firefighters did that.
Right. And you know all about the affidavit process, Terry, because you've just taken care of the stale checks that Vernon had in its possession
Yes.
as a payee. But at least there, he sent the checks back, or voided them, or shredded them, or whatever.
Still in our possession
There we go.
until they're all scanned, all the information scanned.
But you're not gonna cash them, so.
They're not going to be cashed. It's
John?
impossible to cash. They're really stale.
Who holds the culvert bonds when people post bonds?
Ditch bonds?
Yeah, the ditch bonds. Do you hold them until they're released?
I just release them, I don't hold them.
Who holds the paperwork until it's released? You do.
Didn't you do that, Marie? Didn't you hold occupancy and culvert bonds in a special file? Yeah, the clerk's office. Right.
I just do the inspections.
And those are really cleaned up. Culvert bonds take so much longer than occupancy, but we do have one occupancy. Sorry, we're off the agenda. Sorry.
Okay, other questions for Terry? Then Terry, let's, if people don't mind, we'll go to your report, and then we'll get you on your way, and then John will talk about the pickup truck and the plow truck next.
With the treasurer report, there are a couple items that still need to be resolved before it can be finalized. There were some correcting entries that the auditor had the administrator put through, and it's trying to get those entries to appear properly on the balance sheet or the trial balance, so it all ties out to what it should tie out to. So administrator is waiting for a call from the CPA to walk through the correction process so it's all cleared on the accounting system. And then the report will be finalized.
When do you expect that to happen?
You'll have them on the June 15th meeting.
Yeah, okay, good.
Is this for the
April.
balances as of 12/31?
No, that's part of the audit process. What the treasurer's talking about is all the April financials, reconciliations,
April, yes.
April.
April 30,
the bank recs. You have the financials, but Terry's talking about the bank recs that he does.
Okay. But wasn't the audit as of 12/31?
Yeah, but that's in your packet, monthly packet is each previous month's financial statements and reconciliations. That's what Terry's talking about. There's an issue with the April financial, the main checking account. The main checking account, there has to be a journal entry for that main checking account. That's why you don't have,
Correct. That's what I saw in the audit report, that there
Right.
was audit adjustments.
right,
And that the bank balances weren't
right.
reconciled.
And that's what the auditor will go through for 2020. Terry's talking about 2020-21.
Because that affects April. Is that what you're saying?
The adjusting entries were done in April.
Okay. Okay.
And then Terry, your books.
Yes,
Terry, we'll see a financial statement then next meeting?
we should, yes.
The reconciliations, you'll see. The
The
financials are in your
Well, I
packet.
still want a treasurer's report that has some financial data.
Right, and that's what he's saying, it'll be on the 15th.
right.
Then right here, we received all the information regards to the 1.27 million general obligation street improvement bonds from Quarles and Brady, along with this packet of the information pertaining to the $1.765 million general obligation promissory note. If anyone would like to read through this, it's all here, but an email was sent to the board with all of this information as an attachment.
And we are working on getting that money invested,
Yes,
and we'll have a report, probably our next meeting, with
hopefully by
with
our next
some
meeting.
recommendations and.
Yes.
I'm not sure if this is appropriate at this time, but has anybody done any type of study or anything on how much these bonds are gonna affect our tax levy? And how much taxes may go up this year?
Well, taxes won't go up this year. They've already been set.
Okay. But next year?
Next year there was, as part of our presentation from Baird, and it was 10 cents a thousand.
Yes.
Okay.
And all that information's available. I think the public has it, so
It's all on the website.
it's all on the
Okay,
website.
thanks.
Yep. Yeah, you missed, we had to go
That
ahead.
was
and-
before my time.
That was before your time, and we had to, because the interest rate situation, interest rate environment, we had to keep pushing ahead to get the lowest possible rates. So you avoided those decisions, tough decisions.
Just if residents are asking me, I just want to
Right.
be prepared. Thank you.
Right, right, and it's on the website.
Everything's on the
Yeah.
website.
Yeah, I'd encourage everybody to read it. I mean, that's the plan. That's what we based our decisions on.
Good.
Anything else for Terry?
Yes.
Okay.
Terry, in our accounts payable packet, there's a lot of reimbursements for LifeQuest. Can you please help me understand the LifeQuest reimbursements? It looks like our reimbursements are coming out of the general account, but yet we have a LifeQuest bank account. And how do I know that the money's actually going, that we're getting that money before before we approve to send out a reimbursement?
I will defer that question to Karen.
Wait a minute, you're the treasurer.
This,
How much have we
This
deposited for
has-
LifeQuest?
most of this with EMS has happened before I was here, so
This is
Karen
LifeQuest.
understands.
This
Right,
is current stuff.
correct. But with EMS, with the checks being reissued, a special setup need to be done, and Karen can explain what has transpired.
Right, the LifeQuest,
But
the
as-
LifeQuest is the new company. A lot of this money was paid through our LifeQuest account.
As the board requested.
Yes,
They wanted a
because
special account.
We had a
for
special
life-
account.
So why are we
And the money goes
paying
into that
money-
account, and this is refunded money for money that was received in that account probably prior to you starting.
Oh, way before he started.
Yeah, some of this stuff has
A
been
year.
in here
Goes
a year.
back to 2019
And- Right,
events.
right. But those are good questions. I'm just saying,
Are you keeping track of what's going into that LifeQuest account? So that we know exactly what deposits we have in the LifeQuest? Because it looks like we're paying money out of our general account.
Because we don't have a checking account for LifeQuest. And that's how the board wanted it set up.
Okay,
It used to go into the main checking
Maybe I'm
account.
getting off base.
And the board asked for a separate checking account because of how LifeQuest does their business. We have a separate, all the deposits, all the money we take in from LifeQuest goes into our LifeQuest account. Terry, once a month, moves those funds from LifeQuest into the general checking account. And that's where the money gets paid out of the general checking, because that's the only checking account we have.
so, all right, there's a LifeQuest special account, so we can keep track of what LifeQuest is doing in the deposits. But that's our money, and
Yes.
so once a month, it's moved to our general fund. But we've set up a separate account so as to make that reconciliation and keeping track of that money far easier than having all the LifeQuest money come in every other day into our general accounts.
But what will be really helpful for Dan is to have
I
the,
agree with that.
Okay.
President Carl, I agree with that, that separate bank account is extremely important to make sure that we know what's coming in from LifeQuest, but then refunds should be coming out of that account as well.
there's no,
But if the money is transferred from the LifeQuest deposit account, I'll call it, because that's really all it takes is deposits, into our general account,
Right.
well, that LifeQuest account doesn't have the money. So if we get double paid, as I'm following along, double paid by the patient and maybe their insurance company or maybe their supplement insurance company or whatever.
private- There's some indication that it's, private payments as well.
Right.
Okay.
That's into the LifeQuest account and that's now in our general account.
But there's no tracking. If I'm giving a reimbursement, I don't know that I've really received the money to be able to give that
So the real question then is, how do we know, I have the same question. How do we know that the patient, their insurance company, their supplemental insurance company, their dad, whoever paid all these,
Correct.
bills, how do we know that they, in fact, overpaid their account? That's what we're asking.
and what would be-
Or better yet, somebody's keeping track of that, but better yet, did we get the money? Or does LifeQuest have the money? Or somebody else has the money? did we really get the money, that we have that money that we can reimburse? And I see no documentation, I see no tracking of that. And as the treasurer, you're responsible for keeping track of that money that we got. You're responsible for that asset.
So how's that
So
money
I'm
kept?
just asking, do you have some sort of tracking mechanism to make sure that you know that we got that money? Just because it comes from
for-
Aetna Insurance doesn't mean that the village actually received that money.
For the EMS stale checks that were,
I'm not talking about EMS stale checks.
Miss-
But I mean, that raises even more questions, because if they were stale checks, that means we didn't get the
You know what
money.
would be helpful? Two things I know will be extremely helpful for you, Dan, and any board member. We're going to put all of LifeQuest's reports on your login site so you can see the detail. But I would ask the board if they would hold off on all these reimbursements, and then we will pull the report from LifeQuest that shows those transactions on their report when it was deposited. That's what I would suggest now, is because those reports from LifeQuest, I don't know if board members ever saw EMS. LifeQuest is light years beyond what EMS was, but I would ask the board that we table those LifeQuest till the 15th of June or when we meet. That way because it's gonna take time. I know exactly what you're looking for, Dan. I just want to make sure, how we do that process. And we can track those, because I know even the president indicated on one of them, he felt that he wasn't sure on the reimbursement that was requested. So while you're doing your board meeting, I'm going to tally up all the LifeQuest requests, and I would ask the board not to approve those.
I have that number right now. It's $2,996.
Okay, got it. 2,996. Got it.
Even?
Even.
Yeah, so really.
Okay.
We're-
Now,
we're-
now
yeah,
one
go ahead.
one last thing is, do we pay LifeQuest a fee? And then if we're collecting this money, we're paying out a fee. Now we're paying a reimbursement. It's basically costing us money unless the fees that we're paying are net of.
Yeah, you need to see the contract. You're just behind. Let me get you the LifeQuest contract, what the board agreed to, then you'll see how the payments, and then when you look at those reports, Dan, that'll answer a lot of questions.
Okay.
Yeah, I had that same question too. Are their commissions adjusted for the
Yes.
refunds?
Yeah.
And they are.
It should be.
And then the refunds change based upon how long it's taking them to get the money. There's a whole system that they have, Dan, that'll get for you. That'll be helpful.
Well, and I think it would be, what is really being asked here is to go through the LifeQuest procedures, how they send out bills, how they receive money, how they account for that money, what reports do they show Vernon, how do those reports match up to the deposits into the Vernon LifeQuest account, and who's keeping track of each individual patient's amounts that they owe. And that's LifeQuest is doing that.
Right.
And that's what they're getting paid for. They're getting paid to send those bills out, account for everything, receive the money,
And-
deposit it into our account, and they
And
get
they're
a
doing
commission for
it,
that.
they're doing it on the Village of Vernon Fire Department's letterhead, basically. So they're basically our invoices or statements.
They don't invoice on Vernon letterhead.
Everything in the packet is got Village of Vernon.
That they do the service for, but their letterhead doesn't say this is a bill from the Village of Vernon.
Okay.
It's a LifeQuest bill, because I have people call to say, I'm calling for LifeQuest, and I just have redirect them, because that, as the president said, it's their job. They bill for Village of Vernon, but they don't bill on our letterhead.
But I thought the checks come in to the Village of, or to Vernon Fire Department.
They go right to, we don't get any checks. They all go up to Watoma or deposited by ACH to, from Point and Pay or
They go right to LifeQuest. LifeQuest deposits them then into
our account.
Vernon LifeQuest account. no matter how they're written out. I'm sure they get all kinds of checks
Medicare, Medicaid.
written out to Town of Vernon, Village of Vernon, Vernon Fire Department, LifeQuest. I'm
Yeah.
sure they're getting all sorts of payees on those checks.
Once you document this whole process, it'd be great for all of us to be able to understand it. But just one quick question. What triggers you to write a refund check?
In the LifeQuest report, they give the documentation of what transpired and why LifeQuest is saying that person deserves a refund. It's usually a duplicate payment.
So in some of the packet, I saw billing errors, but yet we're giving a refund. So, I don't know, it was confusing to me.
Yeah, the refund notices that are being produced, I saw a lot of duplicate payments. Patient paid by credit card, insurance company, yeah, that paid,
Right.
same amount. But yeah, it's not Vernon hunting these down, it's LifeQuest receiving from an insurance company or a person, hey, I overpaid my account, you have to refund me. And I recall that they wanted to do that on their own, and we said, no. So it would be helpful to go through the procedure, for everybody, I think, not just,
Yeah, well, because it strikes me that we're relying on an outside service to tell us to send money to somebody. And we don't have a good way to verify it or track it.
Absolutely.
well, and I had a question right out of the box, the very first one, their alphabetical order.
Yeah,
So
but it just happens.
it just happened to be the very first one, and I said, boy, this amount looks a little too high to me. So,
You know, since we're on LifeQuest, I understand that LifeQuest actually does a pretty good job if you request them to come out and help your firefighters or your EMT people on how they need to write things up to maximize your benefit.
Oh, they do.
And I don't know if we're taking advantage of that or not, but if we aren't, we should be.
Should call Alex and ask him,
And-
Dan.
And, you know, if we are taking advantage of it, I'd like to know what we're, you know, taking in from LifeQuest, because it should be, for each one of those calls, we should be maximizing our benefits, so,
okay,
thank you.
okay, so you'll double check the math on LifeQuest by the time we get the payables?
I'd like to have the documentation.
Yeah.
That'll
And
show the
table-
math.
And table them,
yeah.
and, yeah. Oh, I mean to approve the batch number.
Oh, yeah, yep. I'll get that.
And you might as well add up the stale checks too, because those might get tabled. I don't know
Right.
how that's gonna go at this point.
That's all the
Okay.
questions I had for Terry.
Okay, that's good. Any other questions for Terry while Terry's on his report? We've got enough to, when we get to APs? Okay. Other than that, Terry, I think you're good for now.
Thank you.
We'll see you, well, we're setting meetings here. 15th. So, as we discussed at staff. Right. Right, it's letter E on our agenda, date for Village Board and Finance Committee meetings. We'll set the dates officially then.
15th or the 16th? 15th?
When we
Tuesday.
get there. When we get there. Unless you want to deviate and set them right now. No, we had talked about, yeah, we had, so I have it down as the 16th, 9 AM.
That's
Yeah,
what I
'cause
did too, that's why.
That's a Wednesday.
Wednesday, the 16th at
Well,
9
you're making-
AM.
you're-
And then I've got 1:30 with Howard, our village auditor,
The 24th.
on the 24th.
Well, you're doing that tonight because you didn't do that at
Yeah,
staff.
right, we just talked about it.
We
but
just talked about it.
I penciled them in so we can make a
In-
formal
yeah,
motion
yes.
tonight. Okay? All right, you want to talk about trucks, John?
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
We're going to see a lot of you this month, Terry.
Well, I know we discussed at the staff meeting regarding the pickup truck up at the fire station that they've been
Right.
leaving outside there. And if, I just threw out there that if they're not going to use it, we could definitely use it for our parks over here for the Public Works Department. So again, I don't want to step on Alex's toes or something that's, I don't want to start issues with him, but you know, I think it's kind of a shame that this vehicle's sitting there doing nothing.
Have you
basically.
talked to Alex about it?
I have not, no.
Okay.
So it's
I
just a-
understand from the emails that there's no insurance impact. Is that correct, village clerk?
Yes, that is correct by the email that I sent.
Right, from the Horton Group.
I mean, even if it was a summer use for us, it's all, I mean, just for the park department, I mean, it's pretty much what we would use it for.
President Carl, what do we need to do to make that happen?
Well, yeah, well, I'd like to get Alex's okay if they're not using it, and we know the low miles on it. I don't know
Yeah.
if anybody's peeked in there and seen how much they've driven it this year even.
We just had it in, we did some maintenance on it.
Yeah, you guys do the oil changes.
Yeah, we fixed the windshield wipers and mirror and the brakes and stuff like that, so. We did have it in here about a month and a half ago for that, but I don't think mileage-wise hasn't changed too much, so.
Right, I think we all understand that it's not really being used, it's being parked outside. We could start with summer only, see how it goes.
Sure.
They need it back, have it back. If they need it for the day or whatever, it's not that big a deal,
Absolutely, no, that's,
especially if it's raining.
I mean, I just throwing it out there. I mean, like I said, we could definitely use it here. With the trailer we got now and the machine that we're using for the ball diamond up there, definitely be a lot easier on the equipment around here. I'm trying to get that stuff back and forth. So we have 2 1-tons right now. One of them we use for patching. We have a patching box on it, and the other one we pretty much utilize for anytime we're on the road. I mean, we always have our signs and cones and all our supplies in there too. So
That has a trailer hitch on it too, doesn't it?
yes,
So you can put a trailer on it.
yes, that's the plan.
Right, for the mowers.
Right.
I have not heard from Chief Feldy. I thought maybe I would, but I have not. So I don't have any.
Well, I mean, honestly, I'd like to run it past him. I don't want to just make a decision and they go and step on his toes. I don't want to start problems there. So I just throwing it out there, see what you guys think, and
I personally feel that this is a village asset and we should make use of it however we can. And if it benefits another department, it should benefit another department if they're not using it. So I agree. I totally agree with you, John.
I mean, I don't know what the next step is. I guess you'd have to talk to Alex and see what.
I think we're gonna have to talk to Alex. I'd hate to have the board just make a motion to direct
I-
Alex to do
I
something
would
without.
I would
talking to him.
recommend that. I'd rather see that. Definitely see that. Yes.
The summer has started.
Yes.
It's moving.
Right. Right. So.
This is,
And honestly, it's the worst thing for them vehicles is to sit there idle. you know, I mean, it's just, you gotta keep stuff moving. That's when things start, falling apart and, not working, so. Not that we're gonna be putting a ton of miles on it either, from basically here to Heather Ridge and, you know, just,
In village use.
yeah, and basically, we will be going up to the firehouse with it for weed eating and grass mowing and whatnot purposes, which we do anyhow, so.
Do you have to do some repairs on it, like break lines or anything like that, that will need some minor repairs?
We have done, just in the last year and a half, we've done brake lines and brakes on it because it was sitting and basically were rotting. Again, windshield wipers, they had problem with them not working. We fixed that. One mirror was broke off, we took care of that right away, but,
Just small things.
yeah, just something, you know, small stuff, right, so. Like I said, it's only got 16,000 miles on it, so I would hope there's a lot of life left in it, so.
So who's going to talk to Alex, Carl?
I just sent him a text. He told me before he had to have no problem.
He had mentioned to me a while ago if I'd be interested. I said absolutely, and that's why I'm kind of bringing it up. So that was, I think, when prior to budget last year, when I think he was maybe thinking he was going to get a replacement for that or something. So that's why
That's a different issue.
right, why I get that, but that's why I said I don't want to take something that if he doesn't want to give it up yet, you know. But it's a shame to see it sitting outside, basically
Right,
useless, you know.
right.
Pretty soon the tires will be out around.
Yeah, it'll be dry rotted before he uses it. So, so yeah, I would say we gotta definitely communicate with Alex, and maybe tomorrow I can call him or whatever too if you want. I can talk with him. That's up to you.
Well, let's defer this item in case Alex sends a message back, but let's not let it slip out of this meeting, I guess, one way or the other, right, without some kind of plan. So if we just defer it, let's go to the plow truck. And you did give us a report at staff.
Yes.
Everybody was there, so I don't think we need to rehash everything at staff's.
Right. The deal is, we did call a couple other truck manufacturers. Right now, both of the other ones that we called, one of them didn't even return the phone call. The other one pretty much said they gave us a spec sheet, but they wouldn't get a price together because they wanted to go over the specs and make sure it was pretty much what we were looking for. But they pretty much said they're not going to be able to match what the international price was. Not to mention, Peterbilt is out until after March to even see a truck right now. And if we don't do something with this international truck kind of ASAP, we will be out also. And they're having a hard time making them right now and keeping up on them. You kind of have one on the side that has kind of got our name on it tentatively. And if we can at least get a letter of intent for that purchase, basically we could see that truck by December, that chassis. As far as the build goes for like Monroe, for the body, the truck box, the plows, all that stuff, we already just lost a slot just by dragging our feet this last month here. Now we're looking at March at the earliest, where before we would have been locked in at January. So they're already backing up. The cost of steel is going up for them, and the longer we wait, the more it's going to cost. Basically, is what they're telling me. A lot of these manufacturers are having a hard time even getting transmissions right now. Problem is the over-the-road truck drivers are so short. They're hiring inexperienced people, so they're having to put automatic transmissions in the semis. So, which takes away the Allison transmissions that they put in our types of trucks. So they're already seeing a shortage of those, which is affecting these trucks being, quite honestly, Peterbilt said even if we signed up something right now, we wouldn't see anything till March at the earliest next year, if we're lucky. And right now, that's still up in the air, could get worse. It most likely is gonna get worse. Freightliners shut down their production because they cannot get the computer chips for the transmissions, all the electrical, all that stuff. So right now, we are looking at the International, which is the same as what we have, which we prefer, just to keep everything the same. So you're not, when it comes time to fixing and working on things, it's a lot easier. As far as the build, like Monroe, there is other builders out there that build different plows and stuff, like Burke Truck and Wausau. Again, everything we have is Monroe. Right now, we had a truck that goes down, we can disconnect the plow, hook onto the other plow. Everything is universal, every one that we have. So we start changing builds, different manufacturers of that stuff. It's a whole different can of worms, and we have it's limited to what you can even do with it. So, and right now everything is, we're familiar with all the equipment that we have, all the pieces that we have are, like I said, they're universal. We can pretty much swap them from truck to truck. So
John, just to summarize, with International, if you get a letter of intent, there's a chance that we can have the truck by December.
yes,
However, the plow isn't going to be available till maybe March.
well, that's if we sign a letter of intent with them also right now. They have a slot to build. The earliest now they have is March.
And are we locked into pricing then?
Yes, that's the whole key, is because they even said the price of steel is going, yes. So that's what they told, the guy was here actually today from Monroe, and he said, you guys would be very wise to get this kind of nailed down right now. You're saving, you're looking at maybe a cost of $15,000 to $20,000 increase, but if you wait till next year. So, they're struggling to get the steel that they're getting right now, and if they order what we have now, basically they're going to order it. If we can give them a letter of intent, they can order it now. That's the whole goal. Keep that. Well, I'd like to approve at least sending or giving a letter of intent to Monroe for the body build and Lakeside International to commit that we're going to purchase this truck. We don't have to pay for it till after the first of the year. It's still going to be, but we need to commit to it, basically. They're tentatively holding one for us right now, but if they're not going to hold it for long. And they said by June. If we don't order something by June, we're going to miss out.
John, did they give you a letter of intent?
No, but I can get a hold of them right now, or tomorrow we'll get a hold of them, and if we want to commit to it, we can do it. But I guess that's what I'm looking for, is if we can.
John, what's the value or what is the amount of this letter of intent?
Well, it'd be for the purchase of the truck.
Which is?
$99,000. $99,000. And I would imagine,
Does that include the?
that's just the cab and chassis.
Okay.
The body, the build for the body is like $102,701 right now. That's not a solid number. We're still kind of working on a few things, rearranging how the equipment's going to fit on there. If we do a tank on the side, we'd have to move the battery boxes and stuff around. So we're kind of still ironing out some of the smaller stuff. But
Do we have a range?
yeah, we're right. It's all going to be right around there. Like 102,000 for
To 100 and
well, what do you give me?
5,000?
Well, we're actually trimming a little bit.
Okay.
We're kind of trying to keep it right around there. So I don't want to be adding any more.
President Carl, do we have something in the budget currently?
It's in the budget, but you did it in your bond.
Right, we borrowed the money for it.
So we have like 105,000 in.
Well, the total, it's going to be 200 with the
We have 200 and some thousand.
Oh, 200.
yeah, just
Right.
the body
Oh,
is separate than the cab and chassis. The cab and chassis is 99,000,
all right.
and then the body build is 102.
Okay.
But we don't have
Thank
a
you.
budget for next year.
Right, we haven't approved, we have not, we
Right.
do not have an approved budget for 2022.
Right,
don't
but
do
we
that
did
until
arrange
the
to have
fall.
some,
Funds available,
right.
expecting
For
that this
this
was for
purchase.
this.
Right, right.
So basically, what we're looking to do today is say, basically authorize John
Go order it.
to go ahead and issue the letter of intent so we can lock in pricing and lock in
Delivery.
the delivery.
Right.
I would like to make that motion if this is appropriate.
Now, we haven't seen the letter of intent, so,
What was his motion? I'm sorry. What was your motion?
motion to,
Motion would be to go forward, to authorize John to go forward with a letter of intent, purchase of,
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to sign it. It
Right.
would have to be,
we need to see the letter of intent, and then we can get it approved, so we could maybe direct you to secure a letter of intent
Okay.
with both
Monroe,
Monroe and Lakeside.
right,
Two different ones, I suppose.
Yep.
For the purchase and the delivery of,
sometimes, I know in the past, Monroe, we would just pay Lakeside to do the whole package.
oh, okay.
They would,
Monroe would be the subcontractor.
yes.
with
So I'll have to talk to the salesman and see how he wants to handle that. That's how we did it in the past. We just paid Lakeside for the whole package. You know, with the Monroe, they would pay them on their own or whatever. So I'll talk to the salesman tomorrow and see how we can do that with him and what he can come up with.
Right, and then that
Based-
letter of intent usually says that it's a non-binding letter of intent with a purchase contract to be agreed to later. I mean, usually they say that, purchase contract, because you don't know the exact specs yet.
Exactly, and that's all they're looking for right now.
Right.
Just so they know we're serious about it. Not that all of a sudden they're starting to do this and then we kind of pull the plug on them, you know. And we honestly, if we don't do something now, we're going to lose out. We may not even see a truck for next year. I mean, the way it's going now, just even the build is going to be months. We may not see the truck till end of summer. Most likely, probably fall. You know, but if we miss out on that slot right now, opening that they have for a build, you're really going to get pushed back. So, and the cost is going to increase.
I see it to the village advantage to sort of lock in things right now and to move forward urgently. Because
Right.
I know prices are going up.
Yeah, I know tires.
It's 400% up, you know.
Tires are going up 30% as of July 1st. Any tires are, so if you need tires, go buy them now. Just word of advice. So
So John, do you know when the payment is going to be due?
it wouldn't be till after the first of the year.
So anytime, or is it like January 1st?
Well, no, it would be, within the next
you
budget
get it?
year. Well, yeah, typically I'll have to talk to them, see if they need something down on it or whatever. I don't think we've ever done that in the past.
Okay.
Pretty much it was always when it was
Delivery.
pretty much when it was ready for delivery, yeah.
Okay.
I know that's when the previous one was, so.
So does the wording on Dan's motion need to be revised a little or not?
It's gonna have to die. Well, you have a motion, but it hasn't been seconded. It could die for a lack of a second.
It won't.
It won't die?
No, it won't. I'll second it. But the motion was to authorize the DPW to go ahead, but that requires your signature, I would assume, because it's a contract of sorts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was to,
Approval from the board.
it was to authorize you to go get a letter of intent. Proceed with the letter of intent with Lakeside, and I suppose, and/or Monroe, or
Right,
maybe we just need one,
yeah.
so that we could secure our price and delivery. That's how I understood your motion.
Perfect,
Yeah,
perfect.
So that's seconded already?
yep.
Any further discussion? And then if you could bring it back, John, if this passes, bring it back to, if we need signatures and authorizations, next meeting, which would be the 17th.
Absolutely. The sooner the better for me. I mean, we got to get this thing going. I just don't want to lose out.
So we could get it in the middle of June.
Yeah. As long as, and I honestly believe, as long as they know we're going forward with things, I think we'll be
And
okay.
you're gonna call them tomorrow, so
Yeah.
they're gonna get going on it
Absolutely. Right, right.
with the paperwork.
But just to be officially locked in, I think they would like to see something like that. So I'll talk with Patrick, the salesman, tomorrow, and we'll get something for you guys.
Okay, so we've got a motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Nothing from Alex, I take it.
Since we have John here, can I ask one other question? Can you just give us a brief update on brush pickup?
Well, we've
and-
got a DPW report, we can
Yep.
deviate. John,
Those-
why don't you, yeah, that's okay. We can
Oh, yeah.
deviate and have your DPW report next.
So, yeah, the brush, the pickups were up. I see 130 stops. We delivered 65 loads, and we are out of mulch. We had like about 15 loads picked up. People brought in trailers with for. So we're actually, loads delivered are actually down from what we had last year, believe it or not, the amount. But everything's gone, so we're out of mulch. So until fall, so just so everybody knows. But I didn't get a bill from the grinder yet that we had about 12 hours in there. So that was a day and a half of grinding. So that's $350 an hour. So, but
How does that compare to prior years, John?
it's actually up there a little bit. We've had a couple where it was almost 2 days, so just the amount varies. And, I think it actually went faster than what I anticipated, quite honestly. But so I'm waiting to get a bill for that yet from Waukesha. So, and then I'll try and get all the numbers together for our, I kind of got a spreadsheet with all the statistics on it, and I didn't get all of that broken down yet. But besides the load delivered amounts and the hours and stuff that we have. So,
So if you said we have 65 loads that were delivered
yeah.
at $30 a load, so we're looking at income of about $1,950.
Approximately, yeah. I mean,
People pick it up and they don't get charged.
yeah, we've had a lot of loads that were picked up, and there's no fee for that. Right. So the amount of loads, I mean, from what I've gotten written down, I got 65 loads. So,
Nice.
besides that, we've been trying to get out roadside mowing, and we've been kind of tied up with this other stuff going on right now. But I got culverts replaced, delivered today for the paving project, Stonehill Court, Pheasant Hill, and Stonehill, and Olympia Court North. I did notify the 3 people on Stonehill Court that Monday or Tuesday, depending on how we finish up with this other one tomorrow, we're going to be replacing theirs, and they're going to have to park out at Stonehill so they don't get. It's a 1-piece culvert, so we got to cut the whole road open. The other ones are usually 2 pieces, so we can do half at a time and keep one lane open. But this one they delivered in 1 piece, which is probably easier to install, but
How long does that normally take you to do?
we can have it done in 5 hours probably. Hopefully, it shouldn't be. It's a bigger one, but
You're talking about one day.
oh yeah, absolutely. And I've already contacted the 3 people that live in there. Ed Hall was one of them, and then there was a couple of Randy. Yeah, those 3. And I told them Monday morning I would get back to them just to double check. It may not happen till Tuesday. At least they could park out on Stonehill if they have to get out, So we'll have it back open by the end of the day, not a big deal. So they're aware of that. So, and tentatively, we're still on for the 14th of pulverizing, starting up here in Stonehill. I got to confirm that with Kurt Postotnik from Payne and Dolan yet. I did call him this afternoon and left a message. I never got a call back from him, but, so then I'll have to mark the driveways next week. They'll come out and saw cut all the driveways, usually like 2 or 3 days before they come out and pulverize. So I'm thinking next, midweek next week, they might be saw cutting, if they're still on schedule. And I don't see why they wouldn't be. They've had some pretty dry weather here, so.
Hasn't rained.
Right. So that's pretty much the only thing that ever holds them guys up is the weather. So, but that's pretty much about it. I mean, we're trying to get out around it, and we've been putting up some of the street signs. Like I said, I'm talking with Officer Hollingsworth. We did have some damage over the weekend. Some street signs, stop signs that were run over. Guess there was quite a rash of mailboxes done at the same time. So that was Monday. We were chasing those around for a while, but we had to hotline some of them before we could put new poles back in. We had to hotline and stuff like that. So, but that and trimming around signs and whatnot as we go. We're trying to keep up on that stuff. Like I said, I know we talked about it previously, intersections and stuff. So.
John, did we ever finish up at the intersection of Skyline and Center? There was some contention about,
When we did the brush pickup, we went down there and picked all the stuff up that was down there, brush and whatnot, which was thrown in there after the fact by the neighbor, cut off and thrown into our side. But we picked it up. So from now on, whatever's there, it wasn't there as of 2 weeks ago. So,
okay,
but yes, it should be cleaned up there.
all right.
There was a couple little logs down there and then mostly just some brush. But we picked that up for brush pickup.
I forwarded an email to you. I don't know if you saw that. Came in late this afternoon
No.
about that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Contesting that?
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I was going to thank him for throwing all the mixture branches over on our side. He drove through the parking lot today, so he didn't stop and say hi. Because he emailed me a couple times this spring about it, and I just told him once it dries up, we'd try and get up there. And then when we were doing brush pickup, we went down there and grabbed what we could and dragged it up and took it out of there. So
His original email was May 13th. Then he sent it to the wrong email address, so he just sent it to me, to the proper email address today at noon. So this dates back to May 13th, so I don't know what.
well, we wouldn't have been there. That's right around the time we would have been there, actually. Because we started at East Side on the 3rd. So the 10th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's complaining basically that there's brush that was left there when the trees were cut down from Vernon's right of way and not picked up because they were on his property, but, you know.
There was so much brush on his property beforehand, he was throwing it on the right of way. And then he was cutting fresh stuff and throwing it on the right of way that we picked up. So I'll go double check it tomorrow then and see what's up there.
What you can do is double check.
Yeah, I'll make sure it's cleaned up. Like I said, once we get it cleaned up, I want to sign off on this whole thing here because
Right.
I think this is going to be an ongoing issue with him.
That's all I have.
Yes.
One last question.
Bless you.
Couple residents are talking about there's no place to take their yard waste, and that waste management doesn't pick it up either. Is that something that's in the plans, or apparently we used to have? Is that true? We used to have,
Never yard waste, no.
No.
We had a recycling area at one point years ago, But they can take it to Emerald Park. Emerald Park has, they take yard waste there.
Emerald Park?
Yes, that's where the advanced disposal takes all their garbage from our
Is that
side.
in Franklin?
Well, Muskego, it's on Highway 45.
Okay, Emerald Park.
And they actually have a separate area for yard
They
waste.
will take yard.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Awesome, thanks.
Well, they do charge, yeah. It's like $28 a load or something, I guess it is, yeah.
Yeah, we've never picked up yard waste that I can ever recall.
Well, no.
And we
Not
used
big
to
We never
have
had
that-
it.
We're talking
We used
about-
to have that giant compost pile back here, but that was 30 years ago or something.
Yeah, that was, but we had compactor back there for recycling and stuff, but that
Right,
was,
that's when people, right,
I mean,
compactor was back there.
right,
Okay, well, at least I have something to tell them, so.
yeah.
Where is that place?
Emerald Park is down on Highway 45 in Muskego towards 8 Mile. It's just north of 8 Mile. It's right across from Waste Management. It's on one side of the street, and Emerald Park is on the
Oh, okay,
west
I know where
side.
Waste management is.
Yeah. Basically the west side. No, as long as their advanced disposal was, they pick up our garbage, well, it's waste now, but as long as, it should be.
Something that we have to be a Muskego resident to use their facility.
Waste Management, I know on their side, but as long as Advanced, they're the ones that owned Emerald Park on the west side. And so, once they got taken over, all that should go to the same area.
Awesome. Thanks, John.
Anything else for John? You got anything else on your report, I think?
No, that's pretty much it. Just trying to keep up on the parks. We had baseball starting, and one of the park kids started on this month or Tuesday actually, and the other one will be here on the 14th. So, trying to keep up on that. So, that's about it.
Well, how do you want to handle the pickup truck? I mean, if Chief Feldy says, well, we're not using it, go ahead. I don't know that we need, it's a Vernon asset. I'm not even sure we need board action. We don't have any insurance issues. I don't know that the board even needs to get involved.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, I can try and contact them tomorrow, and yeah,
Oh,
like I
okay.
said, he has
Then
mentioned it to
why,
me.
why slow us up for we don't need to
Right.
approve of anything.
Well, like I said,
Basically, it's on loan, right? It's not transfer of assets.
Vernon is Vernon. We have insurance on it, no matter whose parking lot or who uses it, so,
That's something we discussed at
Yeah.
meeting.
yeah,
I'll try and contact them tomorrow and try and work something out with them.
yeah.
And
Okay.
if it's, we'll see how it goes.
We need to get the board involved, I suppose we can get involved.
Right.
Hoping not.
Right.
Okay, so we're and we've got John, your reports. Hope you sound a lot better, so I hope you're feeling better.
Oh, I'm still got a little bit of sniffles, but otherwise we're getting back to normal. As well as normal is.
Think we do not need you anymore. You can take off if you want.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Plenty of sun and vitamin D.
Got plenty of road work coming up, so I'll be outside a lot.
That's right. And construction starting June 14th if they stay on schedule.
If these deals good, right,
Got to get the culverts done ahead of time.
yes. All right.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you,
thanks, John.
John. All right, 6D, bond schedule. And I'm as delinquent as I understand everyone else is as far as getting that back. So we're gonna have to table that, but we do need that bond schedule, so
Just to be clear, what are you looking for from us on that bond schedule? To go through and put down amounts?
yes, set
Is
amounts.
that what you want?
Yeah.
So if I think something should be $50,
Right,
mark it up.
or mark it down,
One thing
overnight parking, $50. That's more than Milwaukee charges.
Dog
Okay.
nuisance, 200.
Right,
All right.
right.
One thing I want to mention is almost all of the ordinances, not including the zoning ones, you know, but most of these ordinances that are listed here all reference ordinance 1-10 for the penalties. And in 1-10, it says minimum of 100, maximum of 1,000. So I started going through them. I think, well, minimum 100, maximum of 1,000. Because the first one that caught my mind was the second one on the list, vicious animals. Okay, that one I would like to see more than $100. Okay, so I wrote down 500, and then I saw the fine print about this 1-10 out there. So does that give the judge already, because we have that in that one ordinance, the discretion to go from one to the other? But then how would Officer Collinsworth know what to write the citation for? Yeah, I know, but if we write it for $500 as an example, and the judge sees, because he'll look at that ordinance 1-10 and say, well, this said you could go as low as 100, he would potentially be able to lower it. That just was my only question or point, I don't know.
I think, as I recall what Attorney Macy was telling us at staff, maybe people recall it differently. What that bond schedule is what Deputy Hollingsworth is going to write the ticket. That is, if you don't contest your ticket because you're pleading guilty or pleading no contest, you just pay the amount. And so, to your point, 500. Let's just say that's 500.
Right,
okay. They could just pay 500, or if they contest it, I think with that range, I think Attorney Macy said, well, with that range in there, that you could show up in court and plead not guilty, and the court finds you guilty and fine you $1,000 and not the 500.
Mm-hmm.
Or they could lower it
Right.
if the circumstances so warranted.
That makes sense.
So that's where, so there is, that provides a municipal judge leeway, right, in setting the fine or the forfeiture, I guess you'd call
Right,
it.
forfeiture, yeah.
We had that discussion, fine and forfeiture, but yes, forfeiture. But our deputy needs to be able to write a ticket. When you get a ticket, receive a ticket, it's got a dollar amount that you can just pay and it's done.
So when we look at that bond schedule, that's how we have to be thinking.
Right, you have to be thinking about it that
Thank
way.
Just that first column, right?
Yeah, there's first, second, and third offenses, but I'm assuming that everybody's gonna say double it or triple it or whatever.
Well, yeah.
But maybe
and
not.
Maybe not.
The officer, or.
Depends on what
the
it is.
sheriff
Parking,
isn't
you
gonna
might
know.
say, it's $25 no matter what, you know. But yeah.
So Jim, are you saying
But-
that it has to be at least $100?
Well, that's the way I read it. It says minimum of 100, max of 1,000.
If you're under section 1-10, that's the way it reads. If that's where the fine comes from. Some of those fines have their own, some of those ordinances have their own fine, and sometimes it goes as, I think, as low as $10 I saw on some of them. I can't remember.
I don't know,
now.
in the 900 series or 800 series, a lot of those had different,
Right, which is why bother,
yeah.
you know, it's gotta be some
Because there's
minimum.
court costs besides, which
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
goes
okay.
to 100.
oh, yeah,
All right.
right. You can't say, oh, this is a $250 fine. You might wanna set it at 200 because it will be a $260 fine with court costs.
Right.
Or 175, I guess, nowadays. The court costs are,
So again, just to summarize, you're asking us to go through that bond schedule and just give
Right.
our best guess at what we think the numbers should be.
right, and the clerk's office will tabulate, and if we can,
But you gotta do it soon.
yeah, you gotta do it soon. We gotta get them in.
Do we have a date? Give us a,
May 1st.
Yeah,
The county they can't write citations,
right.
and
you're So,
losing out on
I mean,
all
are-
that money.
So,
are we looking at
let's set,
by next Wednesday?
Well, I thought they were supposed to be in after staff, that was the direction of the.
right,
By-
so we missed
By
that.
tonight, is what we said, to staff.
Yeah, and,
I think.
yeah, I can't remember exactly what we said,
Yeah.
but,
That's not very long of time, you know.
I get two of them
So
marked.
by Monday? By Monday?
Yeah, if people stay to their word, yeah, by Monday. How about Monday at 3:30?
Well, Monday means beginning of the day.
And we'll put it on the next board meeting for approval. How's that? And hopefully we'll have some kind of consensus and the numbers won't be $50 and someone else is at 500. Well, you know, I hope if somebody's at 200 and somebody else is at 250, we can easily come up with the right number without a lot of discussion. I'm hoping. Otherwise, it's going to be an awfully long meeting.
Yeah, where everybody's going to just put
Mine's done.
Well, I don't know about that.
Okay.
So, can we state? I'm gonna actually write this down. Can we state a Monday, this coming Monday,
And we send
4 o'clock or 5 o'clock?
it to Karen?
Yes, send them to Karen. We are not gonna have a walking meeting here. Okay?
I'll just assume if they don't send anything, you're gonna defer to their copies, correct?
Right.
Okay.
That's all right, too.
Did you say 4 PM or 5? It doesn't matter.
3:30.
3:30.
Because you guys are gone after that, or, you know.
Well.
Well, so then we might as well make it 8 o'clock, right?
Oh, yeah, hey, that thought hadn't occurred to me.
I'll send it Tuesday morning at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Thing is, if we don't have a date, we'll all procrastinate.
Yeah, which we already have. Yes, we're all our worst enemies on that.
Exactly.
We really need to get it done.
I just didn't fully understand it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, that's why we had it talked about at the staff meeting. Any other questions on what? Okay. Good? Very good?
Good.
Okay.
Want it in by Monday, 3:30.
Okay.
So, Karen, did you say something not to email it in, or?
You can email it.
Just don't email it to everyone, just email it to her.
Yeah, you don't wanna violate the open meetings law, because you never do that.
Right, it would be like having a walking meeting if you emailed it to everybody. That's why you shouldn't do that. Okay, so date for Village Board and Finance Committee meetings, we talked about this at staff. So we'll just make a motion to set the, I guess it was the Village Board workshop for, with the treasurer and the clerk administrator for financial policies and procedures on June 16th, 9 a.m. here. And a meeting with the Finance Committee and the Board and the auditor for June 24th, 1:30 p.m. here at Vernon Village Hall. So I'll make that motion.
You said it for the 15th on a Tuesday?
16th.
16.
16. If I said 15, I made a mistake if I said that. It's 16, 9 a.m.
So the 24th again,
Right, 24th, 1:30.
and it is a,
Auditor and finance.
Yep.
You review the 2020 budget and talk about 2022 budget process.
Right. Right, I've been scratching down a list of agenda items, so we'll get an agenda posted up
For the 16th?
for the 16th and the 24th.
Okay. I'll send you my thoughts as well. Early
Sure, or
this-
send them,
I'll send them to you.
Yeah, no,
agendas, items go to her.
Well, I want to send you my thoughts. You can put them into agenda items.
Oh, you should send the agenda items to her, Dan.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so, did I hear a second for those meetings?
Second.
Okay. Everybody good? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, so we got that. And everybody's on their thing, so I'm hoping everybody, so poke into your calendar, due date for bond schedule, Monday.
so I have 12:30, is it 1:30 or?
1:30 on the 24th, 9 a.m. on the 16th. Okay, let's talk about letter F, appointment of members to the Joint Services Committee and Joint Planning Committee for Village of Waukesha and Town of Mukwonago. Under our cooperative plans, there is those two committees, Joint Services and Joint Planning. The previous members, you received an email for the Village of Waukesha shared services where trustee Solani and trustee Gary Wildy, so, and for planning, it was Dan Noack and Fred Mahalik, Town of Mukwonago, Gary Wildy and Lorene Dashik. Planning was Dan Noack and Fred Mahalik. So, these are under the cooperative plans. We're required to do them by contract, and they're supposed to have at least one meeting a year. And at the time, we kind of I don't know if it's in the contract or not. I'd have to look. In June, or did we just informally agree that we should have it in June?
The last meeting, they agreed to meet in May.
In May, so we missed that meeting.
Right, and so did the village. I don't think the other communities have appointed their people either. They're still working.
Well, they had them at our first meeting.
But a lot of those people aren't serving anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So Mr. Wildy is no longer serving.
We
Mr.
did.
Mahalik is no longer serving. So so we need one more person, plus we need to re-up others. I haven't talked to Dan, but I would assume he's willing to serve on planning. He is on the plan commission, and he did get reappointed. So we're looking for volunteers on shared services with the Village of Waukesha. The issue is fire, and that needs to be moved forward. So there is an issue that needs to be discussed. Planning is, the joint planning area, which is a half a mile north and south of Town Line Road with Waukesha, and to our west with the Town of Mukwonago, that half mile is pretty much assumed by the Vernon Marsh, and there isn't much in the joint planning area with Town of Mukwonago, so. Yeah, actually, there's not much to discuss there, typically. Well, you're on shared services with Town of Mukwonago, and shared services are tough, but tougher because of the marsh, and we can't readily get over there, and they can't readily get over to us. But there's no reason why a piece of shared equipment, joint purchasing of equipment or whatever, might be, a possibility. But we are required to meet, and the Village of Waukesha has a keen interest on that, or they should, actually. So, looking for volunteers. Mr. Solani, would you like to stay on shared services?
Oh, sure.
At least for Waukesha. Mukwonago?
Sure.
All right, we have one volunteer there. Mr. DeGrave. Oh, actually, do you think, let me back up before I leave Mr. Solani. Joint planning. You're on the plan commission,
Yeah.
but you are on shared services with me for Big Bend.
Yeah, that's not even on here.
Right, because there isn't a contract, we just did that by board action. This is a contract, a cooperative plan.
Oh, it's in the border agreement. That's
Yeah,
right.
that's in the border agreement, yeah.
Yeah.
And your term's not up with Big Ben.
No. It's not up until we got the fire department.
We should have Jim on planning on both.
Yeah, maybe we should have Jim be on planning on both, along with Dan, and then, just thinking out loud, I suppose what I could be is, if I was gonna be on a shared services, it would probably make sense with Waukesha, because we gotta push this fire thing, and if Jim was willing to do that, because you're on Big Bend, and we're pushing fire contract, I could be on that one as well as Big Bend, because I have a feeling I'm gonna be at those meetings anyway. And then we could, and then we just need 2 volunteers for shared services for Mukwonago. Lorene, you're on that, already on that committee.
Jim was on it with me, because I know we went to that meeting together.
Gary
Yes.
was on that.
I was on it.
You were on it. Oh, okay.
No, Gary said he was on it.
No.
Because he went to the McGuanago meetings when McGuanago was doing shared services with police.
Yeah, he and I went on that one to McGonagall.
It doesn't matter. I mean,
Oh, we did, wasn't it, well, it was Waukesha, right? That we,
Well, we met in the Waukesha Village Hall, but we had that joint meeting there.
right.
Where McGonagall also came there.
Oh, that's right. All three of us were there. Gary was there too that
Oh,
time.
yeah, that's right. There was a,
We
yes,
all met in the
right,
Yeah.
Village Hall there.
right.
So you and I were there for Waukesha, and you and Gary were there for McGonagall.
Yeah, but I remember you speaking from McGonagall.
Yeah, well, you know,
Yeah, because nobody was saying anything, so Jim was saying, I think we
Right.
should talk about, you know, Jim took the lead, he jumped in. So I have Jim and Dan both for planning on both committees, correct?
Yep.
And then,
Then we've got Jim and Carl for shared services Waukesha.
and Maureen and who's,
Lorene, and we need one volunteer between Dan and Marie.
Marie's got her head down.
Dan raised his hand, I saw it.
So we're required to meet once in a year
Or more often as necessary, yeah,
if something's happening.
right.
So this is for Mukwonago.
Town of Mukwonago.
All right.
I mean, if the town says there's nothing to talk about,
It'll be
we
a
don't
short,
have to,
it'll be a short meeting.
yeah.
I doubt that there's going to be much, so.
We just want to keep the lines of communication,
Yeah, part of it is lines of communication, part of it is
good neighbors.
good neighbors, cooperative boundary agreement, cooperative planning, cooperative shared services. It's a cooperative plan. And we're a village because of it.
So, sounds good. Do you need a motion?
Yeah, so we'll get a motion.
Are you appointing and then they?
Oh, how do
you
we
have to
do
appoint
that?
and then they-
Okay, I'll appoint. Is that what it is? And then you
Yeah,
guys can
make the
confirm it.
appointment, they confirm it.
Okay, so I will appoint to the Village of Waukesha Shared Services Committee, Jim Solani and myself, Carl Fortner, to the Joint Planning Committee for the Village of Waukesha, Dan Nowak and Jim Solani, to the Town of Mukwonago Shared Services Committee, Dan DeGrave and Lorene Dashik, and to the Joint Planning Committee for the Town of Mukwonago, Dan Nowak and Jim Solani. So I'll be looking for a motion to confirm my appointments.
I will make that motion to confirm your appointments.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Maureen, when you talk, you gotta turn your microphone on, there's people saying, hey, I can't hear her.
All right,
Something to say, I'll turn it on.
all right. On to number 7, correspondence, announcements, and reports. First up, Village Board President and trustees. I guess I'll start by saying happy anniversary to the Village of Vernon, 1 year. We just finished.
Tomorrow the anniversary.
Tomorrow's the anniversary, although we just finished our year when you count the days.
I wish it was the 3rd.
You always end up actually
That
day
was
before.
memorable.
But yes, June 4th of last year, our incorporation was approved by the Department of Administration. Of course, our referendum was the day before, or June 2nd. So
I want to ask the village clerk, where's the cake?
I'll get it out, check it out right away, it's pumpkin pies, yay!
well, I tried to convince someone to do something about being 85 degrees in the kitchen this afternoon. And I hope everybody remembered the fallen on Memorial Day. And we do have a busy month of June coming up. And So we've got a lot of work to do coming up in June. Otherwise, that is my report. We'll go, how about reverse order? We'll start with trustee Dash.
I have nothing to
Mike,
report,
Mike.
so I'll move on.
The Rumble by the River is coming up in July 9th and 10th, I believe, in Big Bend. I'm not sure if that impacts any of the village of Vernon. And if we need to start thinking about that for maybe a future meeting here. But it's coming up pretty quick. Otherwise, I don't really have anything else.
We're circling back to trustee Hubershak.
Back to Marie swinging her pen. Anyway, actually on the way over here today, a resident was walking by and wanted to know why there were dogs unleashed barking in the park. So I didn't really know where to go from there. That no names, no nothing. If they're in the park, they could be from anywhere. So if anybody has any ideas, let me know.
Goes back to the bond schedule.
Thank you. Trustee Slani.
I really don't have any new things, so at least the good news is nobody's called with complaints. You know, that's always a good thing. It is neat that we've become a village now a whole year. You know, that's kind of a milestone all by itself. That's all I got.
All right, thank you. We did hear from the Waukesha County Sheriff Department earlier. Fire Department, did we have a report in our packet? I think we did. Or did we? Fire Department?
Oh, it was emailed to you,
Yeah, I thought I
and it's
saw it
always on the website.
Right, I saw it somewhere.
And we're missing March. That's not our fault. We don't have it from them.
Right. Missing Marsh. DPW report, we heard from John Hindenberry earlier. Treasurer's report, we heard from our treasurer, Terry Winarski, earlier. So we're up to clerk administrator.
Just wanted to ask the board at staff, we didn't get to it, but one thing on a future agenda we do have to talk about is the update to our stormwater management report. We did get a quote from Foth to update that. It's between $6,500 to $7,500 to update that report. Also in your packet, just for you to think about, is one of the big issues the board has to talk about is letters going out to all the property owners that are around ponds, detention ponds and retention ponds. That is not the village's responsibility. It is those homeowners, and this village board has to do something proactive in regards to letting them know that is their responsibility, and a good way to do that is to bring in one of the professionals from the county to explain, like an informational meeting for people to ask questions of why it's their responsibility, so they understand how important those retention, detention, or ponds are, and or culverts. So there's no board action required. Just want you to think about it, and I'd like to keep stormwater on the agenda so the DNR and FEMA all, and the floodplain people all understand that the Village of Vernon board really takes this seriously and is looking into all issues related to stormwater. And I've been working with the state and Vince Budiak on our building code. Remember, the state was giving us a lot of letters and issues in regards to our building code. I finally got a draft back from the state that they like what they seen. There's one little change that I got to get to Vince, and once he's seen that and made his change, then we'll bring it to the village board for your review of the building construction ordinance. And that's all I have.
On the storm, would that be something that
Yes.
would be a topic for a to put in our newsletter?
We have I always put something, you know why? Because when we get audited, I can show every newsletter that we report, every newsletter on Facebook, the website. We try to do as much as we can as a village. one of the blessings is we don't have big stormwater issues like City of Milwaukee, but we do, this board, and previous boards have been as proactive as possible in regards to stormwater issues, but just taking it a next step as it relates to people understanding how important, a lot of our residents in the village don't even understand that there is a retention or detention or a pond that relates to their subdivision development. And some of them are so old that there is a pond, but stormwater wasn't an issue back in the 60s and the 70s. So it's just a learning curve for the village, but I'd like to make some suggestions on tackling this issue for our village residents, but as a proactive approach instead of reactive. So if you could just kind of look at those letters. I'm also developing a spreadsheet that shows you major, obviously detention, retention, ponds that don't have a delineation, and massive culverts that have a big issue for our village as it relates to stormwater management. And that's all I have, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Otherwise, we'll go to finance.
Yeah, can you circle back? I had two things I forgot to mention.
Okay.
One is just a quick report on the HR Committee, Human Resources Committee. We made good progress on the employee handbook, updating the employee handbook. There are still a few things that I need to add to it that we've discussed. I just don't have all the details yet. Our clerk administrator is going to get me some more information on all the insurance and the like that we offer as an employee, and a few other things. But that's going pretty well. This week, or I should say next week, Tuesday, we'll be reviewing what I refer to as the supervisor's manual, which will have information for a supervisor on how to deal with discipline, progressive discipline, the verbal, the written, et cetera. And also information on the annual review, the annual review process. I haven't drafted a policy yet for the annual review process, but it's going to be really kind of wrapped around this process once our two human resources people have a go at it, which, by the way, have been incredibly helpful and very, very knowledgeable folks. So I really appreciate their work on it. Okay, that was HR, and I've already forgotten the other one. Son of a gun. Oh, well.
On to finance?
On to finance.
I'm
yes,
sure you'll
yes.
think about it
Yeah.
after the meeting.
It'll come.
All right, so on to finances, we did, when our treasurer was here, we did talk about the stale checks. We did talk about LifeQuest reimbursements, and our clerk administrator asked us to table those reimbursements from accounts payable. And so, do we have a consensus to table those, LifeQuest
And steel checks.
and stale checks, or do you want to? You like the stale checks. I just saw two nods to table stale checks. Jim?
Yeah, I'd table personally.
Okay, so I concur with that.
So you're going to table stale checks and LifeQuest.
And LifeQuest for now. So,
Stale checks is in the amount of $2,402.87.
And LifeQuest is 299600
Correct.
for a total of 539887. So the new total is 25,266.27.
Now, I do have a list of a few other things.
okay, just hang on. And we will go to the, okay, that's stale check.
Go ahead.
Yep, we will go to other questions then, now that the stale checks and LifeQuest, well, by consensus here, so we can get a clean motion. So, okay, yes, trustee DeGrave.
First one I had was check number 68709 to Advanced Disposal. I understand that we only pay 7128, but I just want to bring it to the board's attention that there's a $2,500 balance due. And that tells me that it's 3 to 4 months past due. It is invoiced to the village. However, I think it's someone else's responsibility, and I'm just questioning whether or not there's any risk to the village.
We can contact Waste Management to question their billing, but I ask them for something in writing in regards to their billing process, because it's their billing, not ours.
Well, but it's somebody else's responsibility, right?
It's the residents that requested individual service.
Correct. But yet the bill is actually billed to the village of Vernon. So if they don't pay,
We never pay it.
yes, but could that come back and bite us?
We've never paid it. It's been billed like this for the last 6 years.
Okay. But hasn't been past due.
I,
So the residents aren't paying it. I'm just throwing up the question whether or not there's any risk to the village. So
Well, we don't have, our contract with Advanced says that individuals can separately contract for pickup, what do we call it? Drive-up service.
so if they don't pay it,
I don't know how, I don't know how Vernon is liable.
in the
under that
contract, we are not liable for up-the-drive service.
good, I feel better about that.
Yeah, and I don't know why, and they've always done this as
It's their,
stated, they invoice, they put it on our invoices, but we have,
that's how they track their customers, is by our municipality. We're not responsible for it. I've questioned it when they first started doing it, and they said, that's our process, we're not gonna change it. That's how we identify the people in Vernon that need to be, how they get their money, I have no idea, nor do I care.
Okay, I have no problem with the $71.28. I just wanted to
Okay.
make the board aware of that. The next one I have is check number 68749, True Green.
Which was voided.
good, that's on the pink sheet.
Request that gets voided
It's
and
already done.
reissued for $1,000.
It's already done. It's on your pink sheet.
Yep, on the pink sheet,
Oh,
sure.
okay. All right. Could you please explain the Magnan assessment?
It's our monthly charge for assessment services.
Magnum, we have a contract with Magnum Assessment to handle our assessments, open book, revaluations and so
review.
on, board of review.
So it's
And,
just locked in at a monthly amount?
It's a yearly.
right, it's a yearly, but we pay monthly,
Okay.
just under the terms of that contract.
Okay. Personal phone reimbursements, $550. Do we have a policy in place? And is it possible to get a copy of that policy?
It's unwritten.
Yeah, it's board
Get a
approved.
copy if it was written, but there isn't one.
Okay.
And it appears that these numbers, because they vary from like $50 to 200,
Right.
is more of an employment agreement issue than it is.
It's for the fire department, it's mileage and phone reimbursement. So when you see their amount, the 150 is mileage and phone. And then when you see a board member or John's, it's a monthly reimbursement on their personal. I get that also.
But if we don't have a policy, that can be an issue with the state. So
The state,
it's good to go back to, we need a policy in place that addresses that. So I'm gonna probably pass that off to the Human Resources Committee.
well, the board needs to do that, not a,
Well, first of all, through Human Resources, I think, to come up with.
Something needs to be written,
Yes.
and then the board approves it.
As opposed to the board approving just the budget number, or, I don't know when this started, if they even had a resolution or a motion or whatever, I have no idea.
when the fire department formed in 2010, that's when theirs,
Started.
right.
You said it was included mileage, although we call it the phone reimbursement. How is it always the same amount?
I have no idea. I think
Per diems are okay if there's a policy.
Right.
Otherwise, they're not okay.
Well, that's where I was headed.
So,
I mean, it's
either
more
has
like
to
a
be
per
an-
diem than it is.
And if that's the case, then it's gotta be,
Right. Right, it does not vary for the fire department.
and they also have, you see the bills, you see the Verizon bills, you approve every month. They also have a bill for Verizon for a separate phone.
Right, that they paid directly.
Right.
Right.
I think that whole area needs to be looked at.
Oh, if you
Perfect time to do it during budget.
give him the fire department. Oh, man. Right, Marie? Doesn't that go back a long time? Oh, yeah. I remember a meeting and them requesting that up front in the beginning of the year, all their money up front.
Okay.
Whether they worked in February or not, right?
Next item was, there's a reimbursement to Ron Radke. I'm assuming he's our computer guy?
Yes.
Okay. But the invoice is from Triple R Computer Solutions.
Name of his company?
Invoiced to the village.
Right, that's Ron Radke's
Why-
company.
Is that his company?
Yes.
So why are we writing the check to him as opposed to this company?
That's how the IRS wants us to, when we report his income, because he's not, because of his EIN, it goes to his 1099 goes to Ron
He
Racky.
gets a 1099.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Then I'm okay with that. Otherwise, my concern was how do we make sure there's not a duplicate payment to him as an individual and maybe an invoice from the company.
Yeah, it's invoiced as to Ron Racky doing business as Triple R.
Okay. All right. Then I'm okay with that. And I also noticed that on one of the stale checks where we're reimbursing an individual for uniforms, but yet the receipts were.
I saw that, the $3.68. Yeah,
I don't remember the
it
amount.
said
but-
soccer.
But there's like a reimbursement or a bill that's attached there from the company, and it's invoiced to the village. So how do I know that I'm not paying an individual without also getting a bill from that company?
Right.
So there could be some duplication there from a control standpoint, just to make sure.
This is on stale checks, right?
Well, it's more of a general question than a specific item. That's where it kind
Yeah,
of
I saw the one on stale checks,
Raise
and
the
since
red
we tabled
flags.
them, so
yeah.
that got out. Yeah, it said soccer, but it's really a tax refund.
No,
Yeah.
I was referring to more of a uniform for fire department,
Oh, well, I don't know which one that would be.
where we're reimbursing the individual for a uniform, but yet the bill was from, I think, the embroidery place in Quantico to the village. But it's not stamped paid. There's no indication that the individual paid it. So I just wanted to make sure there's no chance, I guess, of duplication of payments.
Well, I don't know how you get rid of every last bit of chance, but if a
how you do
invoice comes in from this company for the same dollar amount, yeah.
Yeah, but you could have already reimbursed the individual. And
So then you don't pay the company.
But his question is if somebody's not picking up on a $200 bill that went to an individual and then a $200 bill that went to Embroider Me. That's what his concern is.
Or in this case, it was like $107, but we were only reimbursing the individual $100. So the person's gonna get $100, but we could get a bill for $107 and you're not gonna match that up.
And
How are we going to get a bill for $107? That bill is coming to they're ordering it themselves.
No, it's invoiced to the
the reason it's
Vernon Fire Department.
The reason it's invoiced to Vernon Fire Department, remember the issue of paying taxes? So we instructed Embroider Me to bill the village of Vernon in that person's name so they don't get charged tax. When we order from Embroider Me, it's like thousands of dollars on coats, 10 coats, 15. So maybe the question was when that Embroider Me comes from the fire department, the question to them would be, in this bill, were there any individuals that individually charged? I mean, just as a check from the fire department, it should not happen, but it's a good point, a valid point.
Or the person should be turning in an expense report with a receipt attached that's marked paid by the company.
They do normally. You're referring to,
Expense reports in here?
these are stale checks.
Well, okay.
It's different. These are stale checks.
But
What made him a stale check? We paid this person already once based on them presenting an invoice that they paid.
But there's no evidence that they paid.
Yes, there is. Originally, there was. I don't approve. Jim, Lorraine, don't the fire allowance clothing, they say they ordered it from such and such, and there's a receipt right there. And then there's 2 sign-offs by the fire department, okay to pay? No, all we have, you're picking up the stale checks, and the original receipts are not in there on the stale checks.
I thought they were. Okay.
The invoice is there.
The invoice is there, but not the receipt.
Okay.
Well, this would be real easy.
Well, you covered all the ones that I had,
Thank you.
Yeah,
with one exception.
but those are all stale checks. I had the same questions. They're all just stale. And it's just
Steel
like,
checks, I figured that's all been approved in the past. It's not an issue. It just
Right.
raised a flag from a control standpoint.
right,
That's,
and if we only are paying $100, let's say, and the invoice is for $107, it's because their clothing allowance is $100. If they spend more, it's on them.
I understand that.
Right.
But the way the receipt is, it looks like it could also be billed directly to us, because there's no indication that the individual paid.
On these stale checks, there isn't. But on others, there are. I'm
Right.
sure that is. And if there isn't, yes, absolutely, we should ask for it.
There is an invoice attached to this one from Embroider Me.
But an invoice isn't a receipt.
That's not a receipt.
I'm going back to the e-packet now to check while you guys are talking. Nope.
Jim, you had one?
Yeah, I didn't, it was, we paid $14,743 to the county treasurer.
For the sheriff's,
Sheriff's
that's sheriff's contract? And Dan, just to answer your question, I went back to the e-packet. They did not submit a receipt. They submitted an invoice.
On this particular one?
Yes, I just went back to the e-packet.
So this e-packet from when, October or something?
No, it was January 21st, 2021. Signed by the chief, but it was just an invoice. It was. But I know what I could do, Mr. President. I can call Embroider Me and ask them to send me the paid receipt. That would suffice.
Yeah, that should have been done in January, to your point.
Right, we shouldn't have written the first check without it, right?
Right.
So
But-
it's an invoice, does it mean the transaction never was completed?
That's what Trustee DeGrave indicated. And these are ones that we're holding, but I will contact Embroider Me to ask if that invoice was paid and could I have documentation of that fact.
Right.
But then to take it a step further, when we get our big $1,000 invoices, just to send that back to the chief to have him put in writing that these are only related to their bulk order, not individual transactions.
I am assuming that there's some checks and balances. in
That they
place,
do?
But it was just, I saw a couple things and it's like, okay, so how do we make sure that we're not reimbursing an individual and we could also get a bill? So it's just one of those.
They're supposed to have paid it. It says so right on the form. Attach copies of receipts for items purchased. We shouldn't even get this without a receipt attached.
Right.
It says so right on their reimbursement form.
And Trustee DeGrave, the other issue too is Battalion Chief Kubaki used to keep a massive spreadsheet of all the expenditures that were done in bulk and individually, and I think Shuplius does that now, the new battalion chief, and I'll ask how he tracks that, because that'd be something good for you to see how they do their checks and balances.
That would be great, thank you.
So does that apply to this one in here? With, just, there's no receipt, there's a check, copy of your check, and then there's the invoice, customer, Vernon Fire Department. Underneath it says Jessica Burke, and then there's an expense reimbursement form.
Right. Once again, these are the ones that we're holding off, but that's what was turned in to the board for approval when it was approved.
Right. What we're saying is the board should have sent that one back for a receipt. At the time.
Right.
Not now. This is a stale check that's different. To me, it's different.
Right.
It's a stale check. As opposed to a missing receipt. That should have been sent back in January, really.
What
Which-
triggered all these stale checks to be on this list this time?
Well, when we went through the last bank rec, Trustee DeGrave had said, geez, how come we're carrying all these old checks? And let's try to clean these up. So that was a shot at trying to clean them up, but we'll just get some more documentation in regards to the staleness of those checks.
Yeah.
One question, Karen, last question for me, and only. For the rec department, does he sign off on that? Who is the, because I'm seeing a lot of yours that says approved for town board review.
For the rec director doesn't do I don't know if you've noticed. I mean, he does have his sheets for his referees and stuff, but bills will come in, and I'll say, I mean, it's hard to get him to sign off. It's hard to get him to do a lot of things.
Well, it's not fair for you, if you're doing his work then.
Well, all those donations that he got, we did that. Nobody cares. So, any other? Jim, you got more questions?
No,
Okay.
that was all.
Lorraine, do you have
He
any?
had gotten the ones I had seen.
We're on APs, taking notes. Sounds like procedures to me, financial procedures,
Yep.
you know.
So do we need a motion on
On the,
approve this, Secretary?
yeah, the 25,266.27, that's without the stale checks and the Life Quest. Correct, Trustee DeGrave? We're holding the Life Quest and the stale
Right.
checks.
Holding the life check and still,
Does that
Checks
account
in
for
the-
that tax adjustment?
yep,
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
two,
Oh, jeez.
what did you say, 266, 34?
25,266.27. The total, the Life Quest is 2,996,
Yep,
and then the stale checks were 24,02.27.
oh, 27, I wrote down the wrong number. I had 80 cents there, that's why. Sorry. Stale checks were 2402.27.
I have 87.
Oops, 87. I had 80. Okay, that's the difference.
And I took it off the new total because I did adjust that when Trustee DeGrave saw that True Green. And Trustee DeGrave, I just so you know too, I highlighted the check when it goes to him in bright yellow too, because I've sent it to him several times that we are tax exempt.
Did you send a text?
I sent it twice before. So
Some
I highlighted it
companies
really
just don't
big.
learn.
Well, they need to put it in their
But
system.
it's a good catch. That was $90. That's a lot of tax.
Yes. That's what caught my eye. I watch my pennies.
Yeah, bean counter. I should have known.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve batch, or maybe you made a did you?
That's what I was trying to do, yes.
Okay.
For 25,266.27.
Is there a second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I want to abstain on the phone reimbursements of $550, but otherwise I approve all the rest.
So you're voting no,
No on the phone.
Now, the motion is for the whole thing.
right? So,
Oh, okay, all right. Then I vote no.
No, we're abstaining, Dan. No?
I'm voting no.
No, okay. Got it. I just want to record it right.
making a note about those phone reimbursements for the budget.
And there's no manual checks.
Need a policy.
Okay, no manual checks.
April financial.
April financial statements are in your packet.
We could go through those on the 16th further.
Yep, we can go through those on the 16th. Probably makes sense to put that on a walkthrough basis on how they're put together. It might be useful procedurally,
Right.
what those are showing and what they're intended to show. And if there's anything more you'd like to see on them. Village board minutes, let's, if we could, at least table the May 20th. I had a late read of them and I had some corrections too numerous to go through at this point. So if we could table the May 2021 village board minutes, I'll make a motion to table them for that reason. Is getting
Second.
Second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Staff meeting, May 27th. Should we table those two?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
I forwarded on your comments to them, but I didn't. It was like 3:00 in the afternoon. I'd have time. So I'd like them to see the changes.
Okay.
So they can.
I know I had, the copy I was looking at, someone had handwritten some changes in there already, not me, someone else did. So I don't know what I was looking at, but anyway, let's table those. I'll make a motion to table May 27th, 2021, village board and staff minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Announcement of next village meeting dates. We've got village board June 17th, 7 PM. Plan commission June 9th, 7 PM. And then we just set up two meetings for board and finance committee. And I did put my book away, so I'm not going to now tell you the wrong dates and times. June 16th and June 24th.
Correct.
That's the meeting dates. So we'll need to convene in closed session. I'm not sure how long this is going to take, but for the benefit of the public, no formal action will be taken. In closed session, we always reconvene in open session and motions are made and voted on in open session.
If you go into open session.
If
Sometimes you
we,
don't.
if we go in, and we may or may not come back to open session. If we don't, that means no formal action has been taken. And sometimes we do adjourn in closed session. So at the beginning of the meeting, I read it on the agenda, so I will make a motion to go into closed session as read previously and as stated in the agenda. The motion will require a roll call vote. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote.
President Carl
Yes.
Fortner, Trustee Jim Slaney,
Yes.
Trustee Dan DeGrave, Trustee Marie Kumarshek, Trustee Lorene Dashik.
Yes.
Mr. President, I'll note for the record that your village board has approved going into closed session by roll call voice vote.
Okay, thank you. We are we'll take a 5-minute recess and we'll convene in closed session at 9:20.